What's your full name?
Alan Michael Spencer.
Do you know anybody with a disability? If so, how has it affected their life?
Yeah, my mate Kane's legally blind, so I have to help him on a day-to-day basis.
How do you think disabilities affect the families?
It's a big emotional strain on the family.
Do you think people with disabilities get treated differently?
Yeah, I think they get looked down on in society.
Why?
Just because it's not the norm. Because people think, oh, just because they're a bit different, they should be treated differently.
How do you think school, college, institutions assist people with disabilities?
Well, here at Stockport College there's a great learning support, so anyone with disabilities can get the help they need.
Would you class mental health as a disability? If so, why?
Depending which one, but the one that affect their day-to-day lives, then yeah.
Would you be interested in watching a documentary on discriminations of disabilities?
Yeah.
What is your full name?
Jonathan Braddock.
Do you know anyone with a disability? If so, how has it affected their life?
I've got an aunt who's got a disability called cerebral palsy, and she can't really do very much, and it sort of affects the way she walks a bit as well.
Okay. How do you think disabilities affect the families?
It's a lot of responsibility, I think, to look after whoever is disabled.
How do you think schools, colleges and institutions assist people with disabilities?
I know that in most schools they can have special, they can have people to help them with their learning and stuff. Yeah.
Would you class mental health as a disability? If so, why?
I'm not sure. I'd say it probably could be, because yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tricky one.
Okay. Would you be interested in watching a documentary on discrimination of disabilities?
Yeah.
What's your full name?
Ellen Muscroft.
Do you know anybody with a disability? If so, how has it affected their life?
I know quite a few. I know a guy who has locked-in syndrome, and that affects him quite a lot, because that means that obviously he can't speak, he has to speak through a computer, so life can be a bit of a struggle for him, I think.
Only one. How do you think disabilities affect the families?
The families have to often give up some of their own life, maybe their careers or something, and stay at home, and they have to take on much more responsibility as well.
Do you think people with a disability get treated differently?
I think most of the time they do, yeah. I think if it's something like, being in a wheelchair, I think this society is a lot more accepting of that now than it used to be. But still with certain disabilities it can still be quite hard.
How do you think school, college and institutions assist people with disabilities?
I think that they do a lot of work to kind of, if they have some sort of learning disability, then colleges can do quite a bit to help them kind of understand the lessons a bit more, but yeah.
Would you class mental health as a disability? If so, why?
I think if it's a severe mental health problem, then it could be, in the sense that something like severe depression can prevent people leaving the house at some points, which can, stop them doing everyday things, which can be quite difficult.
Would you be interested in watching a documentary on discriminations of disabilities?
Yes, I would.
Hey. What's your full name?
Giles Oliver Elliot Dawson.
Do you know anyone with a disability? If so, how has it affected their life?
Myself, for one, I've got a condition called nystagmus, which is shortened eyesight, meaning words are actually smaller to me than they are normal people. And I do know a few of my friends with such as dyslexia, ADHD, and they sort of try not to let it trouble them.
How do you think disabilities affect the families?
It sort of stops them from doing maybe some good activities they wanted to do, or sort of they can just stop them from doing activities really without with the real good fun of it.
Do you think people with disabilities get treated differently?
Sometimes, yeah, they're quite vulnerable to such as bullying, really, and such as bullying, sort of not having the sort of fun that normal kids can have sometimes.
How do you think schools, colleges and institutions assist people with disabilities?
They tend to sort of adapt software over the time, like over computers or by like adapting text or maybe something else. So I'm trying to think what I've had.
Related to that disability?
Yeah, related to that, yeah.
Would you class mental health as a disability? If so, and why?
I possibly would, because it's still a problem. A disability is to me is something that's just slightly wrong with you, and sometimes mental health can be as well.
Would you be interested in watching a documentary on discrimination of disabilities?
Yeah, I would, because of myself having one. I want to see what others may have in this world. So.
What's your full name?
James Daniel Brookfield.
Do you know anybody with a disability? If so, how has it affected their life?
Yeah, I know my neighbour's foster a autistic. I think he's like 20 now. So they have to sort of like always look after him 24/7. So.
How do you think disabilities affect the families?
It depending on the disability, it can be quite hard for them. They obviously like have to do things to help them specifically, so they can't like sort of always be going out and leaving them, because obviously they need to have someone look after them depending on the disability. So.
Do you think people with disabilities get treated differently?
Don't know, because everyone's a bit different. Some people can sort of like make fun of it, and it's kind of a bit, you know, it's a bit mean, like they can bully them for it. So, but quite a lot of people nowadays, like they understand it. I think quite a lot of old people, because they weren't sort of brought up around knowing most of it, you know, so.
How do you think schools, colleges and institutions assist people with disabilities?
Sorry?
How do you think schools, colleges and institutions assist people with disabilities?
High schools that I went to, they had like special teachers to sort of assist them, say if they were autistic or if they had a wheelchair or they couldn't write or something like that. They always had special teachers to help them out and you know, be them in the classroom and explain things better to them and stuff like that. Would
you class mental health as a disability? If so, why?
Definitely, like, I don't think myself I have a mental health problem, but so I can't really, I'm not as understanding as someone who has one, but yeah, I think it is definitely just the same as having a physical disability.
Would you be interested in watching a documentary on discriminations of disabilities?
Yeah, I find that quite interesting, yeah.